Very good morning to everyone. And today, I want to try something a little unusual. I'm going to stop talking for a few seconds and I want you to just sit in it. How did that feel? A little uncomfortable? Did you feel the urge to fill it, to cough, to shift in your seat, to check your phone, or to say something, anything? Or, and this is interesting, did some part of you actually exhale? You know, we live in an age of noise, constant input, notifications, opinions, advice, arguments, WhatsApp forwards from relatives who have very strong views about everything. And we have become so practiced at speaking that we have almost forgotten how to do something far more powerful. So today we are going to talk about that forgotten power, a power that the wisest people in every room carry quietly and use deliberately. We are going to talk about silence. See, silence often communicates what words cannot. Think about that for a moment. The most significant things in your life, the deepest grief, the most overwhelming joy, the moments that changed everything, were they captured in words? Or was there a silence underneath them that held more truth than anything you could have said? See, silence is not emptiness. Silence is where meaning lives when language isn't big enough. Okay, let's understand this way. Most people love music, right? And I know you do too. And most of us grew up with it filling our homes, our festivals, our evenings on the terrace. And now tell me, what makes a piece of music beautiful? Is it just the notes? No, it's the pauses between them. The silence between two notes is what gives each note its weight. Without the pause, music becomes noise, just sound rushing into sound, one overwhelming the other. It's the rest, the breath, the gap that creates melody and that creates feeling. A musician who cannot hold a pause cannot move an audience. And a person who cannot hold a pause in conversation cannot truly connect with another human being. And the pause is not a weakness in the music, it is the music. So let's meet Nisha Tai. She's a homemaker, warm, loving, the kind of woman whose house always smells like something good is being cooked. Her son Nikhil, who works in another city, has come home for the weekend. He's quiet, distracted, something is clearly bothering him. अब निशा ताई asked, क्या हुआ? सब ठीक है? ऑफिस में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है? खाना नहीं खाया क्या? थक गए हो? Question after question, filling every breath of silence like she's afraid of what might live in it. Nikhil nods along, says, nothing, I'm fine, and retreats to his room. The next evening, Nishatai does something different. She sits next to him on the sofa with 2 cups of chai, puts one in his hands, and simply says nothing. Just presence. No questions. 3 minutes later, Nikhil starts talking on his own. Really talking about a decision he has been struggling with for weeks. She didn't change the question. She removed it, and in that silence, her son found his way to her. Now let's meet Priya. She's a senior HR manager at a tech company in Bengaluru. Sharp, fast thinking, someone who has built a career on being articulate and quick on her feet. In performance review meetings, she's used to leading, talking through feedback, explaining rationale, keeping the conversation moving. And one day, she's reviewing a high performing employee named Kiran who has been looking visibly disengaged for months. Priya gives her feedback, asks, "Is everything okay with your role?" And before Kiran can actually fully think, Priya is already filling the silence. Because I think it would be great for the new project. And there's also the mentorship program. And we were thinking, Kiran nods, smiles, says nothing real. In a later session, Priya asks the same question and waits. An entire, slightly uncomfortable 7 seconds. And Kiran, finally given actual room, says, "Honestly, I've been feeling invisible here for a while." That one sentence opened a conversation that saved Kiran from quietly quitting. Priya didn't say anything new. She just stopped saying things long enough for the truth to surface. And then there is Harish Bhai. He's in mid 50s, a man who has always prided himself on having an answer for everything. At home, at his shop, among friends, fast with opinions, quick with advice. He genuinely means well. But there's a running joke in his family. Don't tell Harish Bhai anything unless you want a lecture. His teenage daughter, Sia, comes home one afternoon upset after a fight with her best friend. She starts talking. Harish Bhai, in his instinct to fix, interrupts within 60 seconds. ये तो होता है, छोड़ दो ऐसी दोस्ती, मैं बताता हूँ. ऐसे लोग, Sia stops mid-sentence, closes up, doesn't finish the story. A week later, prompted awkwardly by his wife, Harish Bhai tries again. But this time he tells himself just one rule: don't speak until she's completely done. He nods, he sits forward, he stays with her in the discomfort, and Sia talks for 20 minutes straight. Things she would never told him before. Later, he tells his wife, "I didn't say anything useful. I just listened." His wife smiles. And that was the most useful thing you have ever done. So we've been taught to believe that silence is absence and that it means nothing is happening. But in conversation, silence is where some of the most important things happen. See, when you allow silence in a conversation, you give the other person space to reflect, to actually think rather than just react. Most people, when given a real pause, will go deeper than their first answer. Then, space to process emotionally, especially when they're carrying something heavy. Words often need a moment to rise on the surface. And then the experience of being truly listened to. Because the person who doesn't rush to fill the gap is signaling something rare. And I'm more interested in you than the sound of my own voice. And it is something worth sitting with. Not every gap needs filling. Wise people become comfortable with pauses. The urge to fill silence is almost always about our own discomfort, not the other person's need. When we rush to speak, we are often managing our own anxiety, not serving the conversation. The next time silence arrives in a conversation, don't evict it immediately. Let it stay for a moment. See what it brings with it. So, Here's a beautiful, simple thing I want you to try today. Just once, in one conversation. Before you respond to something someone says, pause for 3 full seconds and count them silently. One, two, three. Don't fill it. Don't apologize for it. Don't reach for your phone. Just breathe and let the space exist. And then notice what happened. Did the other person add something they hadn't said yet? Or did you find a better response than your first instinct? Did the conversation go somewhere unexpected and real? 3 seconds, that's all. You may be surprised to discover that the most powerful thing you said today was nothing at all. So the quietest person in the room is often holding the most, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned something most of us are still practicing. That presence is more valuable than performance. That listening is an act of love. And that's sometimes the greatest gift you can give another human being, the silence that says, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm with you. Take your time. See, we talk about communication as though it's only made of words. But the most profound conversations I have ever witnessed, and perhaps you have too, had been long stretches of silence in them. A hand held, a breath shared, an understanding that needed no translation. So, this is your call to action for today. This week, in at least one conversation each day, choose silence over the reflex to fill. Let someone finish. Fully finish before you begin. Pause before you respond. And if the silence stretches a little longer than feels comfortable, let it stretch. Because the deepest things in life don't rush, and neither do the deepest conversations. Learn to love the pause. It's not empty, and it's where everything real begins. So, with that thought, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.